Uh-oh, that broke. Well, crap. We're just gonna turn that off. Hello! Can anyone hear me right now? The audio level's good? Just gonna slide that away. Excellent. Excellent. Just gonna wait a little bit more so people have time to get in. Awesome. Awesome. Sweet. I can't believe how many people are watching right now. I wasn't really expecting much. This is really cool. Thank you, guys. I sound like your teacher? That's good. I'll take that. Boone! What's up, Boone? Alright, I think we're good. Now would be a good time to get going. Yeah. Alright. So, for this, I've never streamed before in my life. So, we're just gonna wing it here, kinda. But what I want, the goal is to just kinda show you literally everything you need to know. Like, from knowing basically literally nothing about Source Filmmaker to being able to make your own animation from start to finish, which is pretty ambitious, so we'll see how that actually goes. But I'm excited. It should be fun. Another thing, I want to make sure that I don't go into too much detail here, but yeah, I think enough people are here. I think we can get going. So this is the very first screen you're going to see when you load this program. You're not going to see any name here. Your frame rate's going to be 24. It can be absolutely anything. And yes, I will upload the stream elsewhere, Luca. Ideally, I want to record this now and then edit it and upload it to this channel. So it's like a little bit more concise than a live stream would be, ideally. That would be pretty cool. And yes, we will try to get into animating as well, George. But we're gonna go over the very, very basics for just a few minutes here. So obviously you can name it whatever you want. I'm just gonna go with Corone, if I can remember how the English language works. And then your frame rate, I would recommend starting with 24, because that's really easy to think about and work with initially. And by the way, if you guys have any questions as we're going along here, please post them so I can, if something wasn't explained clearly enough or whatever. So yeah, I'm going to start with 24 because it's just simpler and easier to work with. You can do whatever you want, but that's just industry standard, and it's easy, so you should. Then you'll get this no map loaded screen right here. You won't get this. That's a bunch of garbage. But to load your map, you just right click right here and hit load map. And you can do anything here. I'm just gonna do the basic, because this comes with every version of SFM. Stage big. And that'll take just a little bit to load. Luckily, these things don't really take that long. Okay, now we're actually in map here, all you have to do to start looking around is hold left click into this little viewport here, and then you have perfectly standard first-person shooter controls. So you use WASD to move around, and you can press shift to move faster, and control to move slower, like that. And to go up and down, you press X and Z, which works pretty well. It sounds a little weird, but you get used to it in like 5 seconds. So, now obviously you want to get your model in here, but how do you do that? There's this, you do that right here. This is called the animation set editor, and what this is a little, this is where you spawn like everything for your animations. So cameras, lights, models, particle systems, everything. And another thing to keep in mind that everything that was visible here is going to be cut up into your different shots, but let's not go into that right now. Yeah, let's leave that be for now. So to spawn your model in, you just right click here or go right here, and then you want to search right here to filter to what you actually want to spawn in. So right here, I'm going to search for Crone because that's what I want to do for this tutorial. And to get these models, first of all, you probably are going to want to download things off of, well, very often you're going to want to download things off the Gmod workshop. And there's a very, very easy and good way to do that. I'll actually show you it right now. Steam Workshop download. This website is amazing. All you have to do is just literally go to the Gary's Mod Workshop. Here, say we wanted to find Crone. Because there is a version of the Crone in SFM right now, but when I downloaded it, it was a little questionable, and plus a lot of the time there just won't be things available. There will be things available here that just are not available for SFM. So just whenever you feel like, oh man, there's a model, I need this model, and it just doesn't exist, always double check this place because there's always so much stuff here. But anyway, right here, for example, if I wanted to download this one, which is this is exactly what I did to get this model. You just copy it right here, paste it right here, and then this will, all you have to do is extract this into your user mod, which is super easy. I'm not gonna go over how to do that because you can just Google that. Just download it and extract everything into your user mod, and you're done. And you have infinitely more options from downloading from this place. Anyway, tangent over. Yes, you can also download stuff on SFM Lab. That's another place that's worth checking out. It's a good place to point out. Yeah, just it's always because a lot of the time you will be looking for a model and it just will not exist on the SFM workshop, and your first instinct is to think, oh, well, this doesn't exist. This isn't a thing I can use, but it's always worth checking other sources just in case it is. So yeah, when you have your model selected right here, just click open, and if you do this, you'll notice for at least this model, they are going to look very odd and grainy, and the reason for that is because we have ambient occlusion enabled, and that doesn't look too good. And remember, I'm just holding left click and WASD, and that's everything you need to know about viewport navigation. It's so easy. So how do we get rid of this grain? Just right click, render settings, and then right here, and make sure you right click into this port, otherwise it's gonna not work. So right click, render settings, then ambient occlusion, and disable it, and bam, you're immediately way more like traditional anime looking, way better. in my opinion. And you can like mess with this and do some fancy tricks with it, but we really don't need to go over that for now. All you need to know is that's definitely something to look into if you have some really weird, ugly shading on your faces in particular, is where it tends to really destroy things. But you might notice that this pose is something's a little off here, and it's the proportions on these models. That was just me pressing Control-Z to undo, and a bunch of other stuff we're not getting into yet. But her proportions are very messed up, and that's very typical of Gmod models when you first spawn them in. I don't know why this is, but to fix it, all you have to do is right-click on your model, import, and then there's this part right here where it says sequence, and then this is just one way of doing it. I'm pretty sure there's other ways of doing it, but this is just fast. Then find the sequence named Ragdoll, and the fastest way to do that is just scroll above Ragdoll and press R, because it's sorted alphabetically. So it's always going to be at the top there. And then right there, you can see in your preview here, you can just left click to orbit around here. You can see it has the proper proportions. Hit open. And there we go. She's beautiful and perfect. But you knew that already. So now, I'm assuming you don't want your model floating into the void. To fix that, to select any bone in SFM, and bones are just the joints that make up your models that allow you to manipulate them like this. To do what I just did, hold left click into this viewport, and your bones will appear on top of your model here. That's what these are called, these little colored sections that look kind of like bones. And to get your character on the ground, you want to select the root transform bone right here. Then, to put it on the ground, you could do it like this. This little manipulator will pop up, and to switch with, we'll stick to this for now. But to get your model onto the ground, you can just drag it down like this, which is one way of doing things. And that works, but there's a better way, which is when you're holding your model with the move manipulator like this, if you hold shift, it will automatically place them on the ground plane, like so. And they will totally be snapped to it, no matter where you mouse over. And remember, that's holding shift while you have this manipulator open. And you can do that for any part. You can do that onto another model. So that's a weird example. We won't do that. Okay, any questions so far? I can kind of keep going here. I'm gonna take a big old gulp of water. Sorry, I haven't been able to read chat. Hold on just a moment. Yeah, that's a good idea, George. Creating a Gmod folder for your add-ons, that's a good idea. Ideally, when you're adding any add-ons to your setup, you would organize them into little subcategories like characters, or like George did. He has his folder sorted for Gmod. That is a very good idea. Or sorting them by like buildings or props. That's a great idea. I deeply regret not doing that earlier on. You can Google how to make the different, what are they called again? Like different game types. I don't remember the exact term for them, but that will definitely help you actually find what you're looking for. Because when you're spawning in a model, and basically everything you want to access is in one little, yeah, they're called mods. If you're like looking for a specific, like maybe you just want to find buildings It would be much, much nicer if you could just click one of these that was buildings rather than searching the word building, because it might be called red. It could be called anything that is not literally the word building. And that can get really frustrating really quickly, so that's definitely a good idea. Yeah, subfolder categories, for sure. Okay, we're gonna keep going. So now that we have our character on the ground here, we're basically ready to start animating, really. Except for one thing, our camera. That's what this little frustrum you see popping out of this one point is. If we click right here, this is camera 1. Everything that we're seeing here is what this camera is seeing, but this camera is not yet into the animation set editor. To do that, you click this little arrow here and you hit create animation set, just like that, and now it's actually visible into this place. And anytime you want to move this camera around, you can either click right here, or what I like to do is just drag it over this primary viewport here. And something that's been bugging me since we started this, if I'm being honest, is the fact that we don't have a secondary viewport. Because by default, SFM looks like this, and you have all this dead space right here that's really completely unused. And get a secondary viewport is just so handy, because you can have the camera, which is literally what your final animation will look like, for right here. And you can use that as a point of reference while you animate in your secondary viewport, which you create by going to Windows and then Secondary Viewport, which you can then put literally anywhere, because it's literally a free window. You could literally have your entire second monitor be this if you wanted to, and if you have one. But what I'm gonna do is put it right down here, which is where I almost always do it. And I'm just, to dock it, that's what, when you're holding this, you can dock it a lot of different places. But I'm just gonna put it down here, because this is where I think literally everyone who docks it puts it right here. And then to resize it, you just use these little adjustable gizmos. And now, say this is what, okay, I have my camera here. This is exactly what I want my animation to look like with this angle, but maybe I want to animate her hair, for example. It would be a pain in the butt if I was doing it from this angle. So to have the ability to rotate around like this and edit just freely without worrying about messing up what my final animation is actually going to look like, or my final camera is actually going to look like, is very, very, very helpful. This is kind of advanced, but I'm just going to get out of the way. This model right now, it actually has physics-enabled bones, which means when I hit the play button, they're going to animate a little bit. And that's cool for a Gmod player model, but ideally, for an animation, you probably want to do that by hand. And that's pretty easy to fix, because all you need to do to make it so that rather than these bones being physics-based, I'll show you. Because for this model, it actually has the hair, the ears, the skirt, I believe, yes, the tail, another part of her body. They all have physics-enabled bones, which is really, it's cool, but sometimes you really just want to be able to manipulate that manually. And to fix that, just right-click on your model, go to Utilities, and Bake Procedural Bones. Now, if we press Control, which is the button that enables viewing all the bones, you can actually see every single individual hair bone, which is unfortunately quite a bit on this model, which would make it kind of a pain in the butt to animate. So now, as we can see in this primary viewport, we are editing the hair, which we're not able to do before. You can do the same with the skirt and all that. So, okay, I think, yeah. Oh, another thing. So there's 3 different types of manipulators in SFM. Move, which is this one. Rotate, which is this one. Which is E. Okay, let's go over the hotkeys first. Move is W, and that moves your model, of course, in the world space, wherever you want it to. That's how we move the root transform, of course. And you can either move in relation to your camera, which is what this blue one is. You can move along a single axis, which is what these discs do, essentially. Or you can rotate, which is E. And rotation, when you press E, is along a very specific axis. So right here, if we press this little ring, this little donut ring right here, it will move along this axis only. And if we do it for along this one, we'll do it from this axis only. You get the idea. But if you press R, it will do a free rotation along all axes. This is what I use most often. It's honestly pretty rare for you to need to do things on a specific axis unless you're doing like a car or a robot. If you're just animating a human being, you probably usually just use this. And there's another thing you can do with this one, which is very handy, is that you can, when you have a transform selected, you can actually press this button right here and make it so that your point of pivot is basically anywhere, which is really, really handy. So you have this rotation point right here, but this little button right here will make it so you can move this pivot point anywhere you want. So say you wanted to have a shot where the camera rotates along her head like this. You would then go back here, and now that your pivot point is on here, you can have like a little perfectly tracked rotation on this axis, which is very, very helpful. There's other ways you can do that with more complicated ways you can do that with like animation sets and stuff, but again, don't need to get into that. Not at all. So next thing we should get into is, I think we can, yeah, okay. So now let's start talking about like actual animation stuff. I think I covered everything. Let me think here. Yeah, I think so. This is a very fast-paced way of going through the program. I'm sorry, but we're just getting the gist here. Yeah, I think that's good enough for now. So, actually, yeah, okay. First of all, let's go over how to add audio, because if you want to actually add audio to a track, which I assume you do if you're watching this, this is one of the cooler parts about SFM, because you can add sound very, very easily and have it perfectly sync to your track into your animation, which is very, very, very powerful and very, very cool. To actually get your audio source converted to the proper format, it's actually stupidly easy. Let's see if I can do it right now. First step, download Audacity. Second step, find your, let's see if I can find an audio track here. Here we go. Let's do something that won't get me copyright claimed. Here. So you literally take your audio file, drag and drop it into Audacity, hit OK, set your project rate. This is very important. Set your project rate to 44,100 hertz. Then go to Format, 16-bit PCM. You're done. That's literally all you need to do. Just export it as a WAV, and you're done. That's it. I believe. That's the settings that have worked for me since I've started doing it. Because I used to have a ton of issues getting this to work for whatever reason. But it's really, you just need to make sure you have the correct hertz for your project rate, and just make sure that your format is correct, and then you're usually good. So I already have something here that we'll just use to test. Now that's it. So all we need to do to make our perfectly animated clip is to hit the play button right now. Let's pause the music for just a second. And we can hear it. Let's animate that part. Okay. We've decided we like that. And by the way, playing and pausing is just space. And make sure you're in this tab when you're editing such things. Now, paste the audio into an audio from the SFM or some workshop thing. Replace it with the sound that was just for a name. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that's a good point, George. Okay. So to make sure you have the correct part of your sound selected, hit play. Okay, so we've decided that we want the beginning of this sound clip to be right here. So make sure your playhead is right before that, and then press Shift plus B. And then after it... Oh, I love you, Kurumi. Okay, then press Shift B right here, and you can just press Delete to get rid of all the stuff you don't need, and then just drag it to the beginning. Make our lives easier. And this shot right here, we'll just keep it simple. This will be our only shot for this. You literally just drag it like this. Think of it like any other, like any video editing program or audio editing program. It works exactly the same for the shots. So just make sure that it ends when the audio ends. Drag that here to the end here. This is our actual clip. This is the actual end of our animation. So if we wanted to have like additional clips, for example, but didn't want the end of the animation to happen, you would have this be farther out. But since we want our entire animation to end at this point, we will have it end like so. Now we want to go to our animation, and we will go to, okay. Now, let's go to actually animating the character. Yeah, let's, okay. So first of all, when you're manipulating your bones here, there's two different types of rigging that people generally use for SFM, and that is inverse kinematics and just kinematic, forward kinematics. I remembered it. For this shot, I think we're just gonna, yeah. For this shot, I think we're literally just going to have her stand in place and say shampoo with a stupid look on her face, so we don't really need to do anything too complicated. So I think we'll actually just keep it to the normal rig for this one. But we need to get our base pose here. So first of all, I think I actually messed up. Yeah. This animation happens right here because I was messing around and trying to show off like moving stuff. I believe that was created because we were in the wrong window here. But to just fix, whenever you have weird animation stuff and weird movements that you can't necessarily explain, all you need to do to get rid of everything is just playhead all of it out of existence. So just select your model, go to the motion editor, and drag the playhead all the way to the right. Now, to get your base pose in here, all you need to do, well, what I would recommend to start with for something like this, go to the motion editor and get your character looking the exact way you want them to. So for this, I think we're just gonna do something stupid. This isn't really the point of this tutorial. But we'll try to do something funny. I'm actually going to get my camera where I want it here. So I will, again, drag it over this viewport. I think for this, I want the camera to be a little bit lower, a little bit more zoomed in. And to zoom in and out, I'm actually using the mouse wheel, and that will change your zoom level or your field of view. And for this, we'll keep it a little bit lower, because that seems like fun. And no, George, I absolutely do not do stuff in the motion editor. We'll get into that in a second. Okay, so let's get our base pose in first, just a general idea of what we're going for this animation. So I'll start with her face and just generally think, okay, she's probably a little bit smug. She's probably smirking because she said funny English word. Where is it? These have very odd names. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry. So to change all these, the facial expressions on models, there's two tabs right here. This one is called Face, and this one is called Unknown. For like the actual Valve models, everything will properly be under Face. So all your editing of the eyes, all the editing of the eyebrows and the mouth, everything you need will be here. But for weirder anime models and Gmod stuff, you're typically going to be doing a lot of your facial editing and other sliders that your model might have right here in the Unknown tab. And that's going to be where you do a lot of your editing for expressions. I do not know the reason for that, but there you go. Okay, so in this case, I want to have a slight smirk on her face and her eyes to be more smug. So to edit these, you literally they're just sliders. You literally just click and drag to the right. So I'm going to do smug eyes, and I'm going to, you can make this bigger if you want to by dragging this down, which is very, very handy sometimes. I'm going to try to find a slight smile for her mouth. That's the opposite of what I wanted. That kind of works. And you see these annoying white dots? You can't really do anything about those sometimes, so you just get closer to see what you're doing a little bit easier. That can help just with the work camera. So let's see if we can find a smile here. These are all very odd Google translated names. So it's a little confusing. This might be good enough. I might not need to worry about this. Yeah, this is probably good enough. This face amuses me. I enjoy smug aura. Okay. So, now that we have her face looking the way we want it to, let's get her body looking the way we want it to by literally holding control, clicking on our bones, and it is automatically going to this one because it was the last one we select, the screen, apparently. I didn't know that's what it was called. So let's just try to get a funny looking pose going. So for this, I would probably just select I want her to be a little bit in the lower, in the bottom left of the frame here. And to easily change where she is, I will just select her pelvis bone and then drag down like that. And move her spine a little bit more forward, because I believe she's supposed to be looking at shampoo in this clip. Yes, yes, she is. I remember now. So again, hold control, click, hold control, click. That's all you have to do. This is all out of the work camera. So she's looking down, which we like. She probably doesn't need to be looking that far down. Again, control click, control click. There's nothing complicated going on here. Now, this is where things get a little bit weird for this model. A lot of the time, your eyes will literally be sliders either in the unknown tab or the face tab. But for this model, they actually have the eyes as bones in the head that you click and rotate, just like you do with these. So I'm holding left click and selecting both of these. And to select more than one bone at once, you hold control and then you press control plus shift. That's how you select more than 2 bones at any given time. So if you want to, I don't know, do something weird, you really, do not use that super often, but it is very, very handy sometimes. And for this case, it's perfect. So to edit her eyes in this case, I will hold control, select this one, hold shift control, select this one. And if we rotate now, there's going to be a problem where her eye, yeah. It's a little weird. So how do we fix that? Well, on this manipulator here, all you have to do is press right click and then go over rotation mode and then change world to local. I don't know why it does this again, but it just does. Now when you rotate it, you still do get a little bit of clipping because it's not supposed to actually rotate that much, but it's a lot better. That's actually more than I was expecting. Oh well. It is definitely better though. I would definitely prefer doing that. Okay, so now we have her looking down at the shampoo, presumably. Now that I'm happy with her face, let's move on to her shoulders. I imagine she's just kind of disinterested. Or not disinterested. But feeling a superiority over this bar of soap. I'm actually going to want to edit the eyes individually here so it looks like she's actually looking at something closer to her in this case. That looks a little cross-eyed. What's cool about this model is you can actually select the eyebrows and move them up and down individually, which is awesome. That's pretty rare. Let's see if we can... Yes! Oh, that pitiful bar of shampoo. Wait, not bar. It's a bottle of shampoo. That's not how shampoo works. Okay, I'm content with this. Now, we can actually get things rolling here. Sorry, I'm just reading chat again. Delta, the program I'm using is Source Filmmaker. It is completely free, and I believe it's available for most things. Like Windows, I believe it also works for Mac. Yes. Yes, Snack-chan, this will be saved. You will be able to watch this again at a later point. Hopefully I'll edit all the streaming stuff out, so it'll be nice and concise. Good night, Subomix. Yes, hello horse. Yes, these models are originally made for MMD. This model right here is actually the official Corone model that they allow creators to download and mess with for Miku Miku Dance, which is super awesome. Okay, I think we can actually start moving on to like actual animation now. That's pretty sweet. There's another thing that's bothering me that I want to fix. This camera has a slight bloom on it, and it's kind of irritating to me. So I'm going to turn it mostly off by clicking on my camera here. This is my currently active camera, and just dragging it down. And you see that little highlight on her shoulder and every other part of her body for the most part. See what, if we exaggerate here, you can see exactly what it's affecting. It's kind of irritating, but I do like having a little bit of it. So if we do it like this, it kind of, we don't really get very fine control over it. And to fix that, you can right click on almost every slider, but not every type of slider, and you can click remap slider range and set your max to 1. And that'll make editing it way easier. So you just want a subtle amount of it, but not too much. Not too much. Alright, I think we're ready to start animating now. Now, let's get into some controversial stuff. The way I animate is typically clicking on the entire model other than... Yeah, I normally select just the parts that I'm actually animating right now or think I'll animate, so that doesn't usually include the face at the same time. When I'm just getting an animation in place, what I like to do is to just make sure that the body mechanics are working and all that fun stuff before I start thinking about facial expressions too much. And I know I just spent like 10 minutes making sure she looked as exactly as smug as I wanted her to. But, you know, do as I say, not as I do. Anyway, let's just key this by selecting only the body, arms, and fingers in the viewport here. And again, we're in the motion no, we're not in the motion editor. We're in the graph editor. I do like 99.999% of my animation in the graph editor. I do not do it in the motion editor. I use the motion editor almost exclusively for cleaning up animation, and that's it. Or troubleshooting animation problems. I do not actually animate in it, and I would not recommend anyone else do, because the thing about the motion editor, and if you like using it, and if you want, and if you are comfortable in it, don't feel bad or anything. This is what I would recommend to people if they're just starting out, because this is what, if you get used to this, you can animate in any program that exists, really. Except Miku Miku Dance, because that thing is scary and I don't understand it. But Maya, 3ds Max, literally any professional animation program, they handle animation like identically to this editor right here. So I would highly, highly recommend that you just use this one. So to key our first frame here, now that we have selected only the parts that we actually want to be editing, we press M, and that will place a keyframe right here. And these keyframes will, by default, I believe, snap to our actual project frame rate that we set when we first made our project. So right now it's 24. So every frame that we're going forward in our project here, you can see that it will automatically snap to the next one, and there's not like an in-between there. Because that's because we have snapping enabled. I believe if we turn that off, it will. Oh, wow. Oh, I guess it doesn't. No, it does. Maybe. I don't know. Leave snapping enabled. Don't mess with that. That's not worth it. Okay. Now that we have our first key here, we can start to place our second, obviously. So, let's play our audio again. Okay. So you might have noticed that when we started playing again, it like goes into this blackness, and then it stops and it doesn't repeat and loop. And that can be super irritating when you're trying to like really refine an animation, and every time you want to replay it, you have to wait for this to hit the end. You can fix that by pressing this button right here. Play once is what it's currently set to. Turn it to repeat, or play loop rather. And it actually won't do what you want it to unless you press Control plus space into this editor. Now, if it does what it should. There we go. Now it's automatically looping our audio over and over and over again. Yes. And it's very, very, very handy when you're, especially if you're like working on a music video and you have like a cut that lasts literally 3 seconds and you need to edit it over and over and over again. You're going to want to use that option very, very often. It's extremely helpful. Okay, second key. Now that we have our first one, we want to scrub through our audio and just think, okay, when do we think a big action would take place from this audio that we're listening to right now? When do we think that she would react in a like noticeably different way? For me, yeah, I want to add some anticipation before she goes up here, which you don't necessarily need to do in this early of a stage, but I'm going to do it. So I'm going to make sure that she is essentially going down before she goes up here, which is just an animation thing you want to be thinking about occasionally. So I'll put her shoulders down. Again, just Control plus left click here. And I'll select her head. And for this, we might want to adjust our eyes slightly, but again, this is another thing you probably don't need to be worrying about this early on. But okay. Oh, I made the classic mistake. Okay, so, well, this isn't necessarily a mistake. This is just the way I like to work. When you set a new key, you often want to make sure that this part right here has everything keyed, not just because if you just go here and you say, okay, I want her to look up now, it will create a key there automatically, but every other part of your hierarchy here will not have a key for that whatsoever. And that can be really confusing and makes your animation really messy. And it's like, oh, I have all these keys here, but now I don't know where I should be moving things and tightening them up. So I'm just going to delete this and go here and again select only the parts that I'm animating and press M on this exact key again. Again, that's M to place a keyframe. There we go. There we go. And this is another personal preference thing, but as you can see right now, it is automatically interpolating between these two poses we just made. So between pose A and B, it's creating, or pose 1 and 2, it's creating pose 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, etc. And some people like that when they're this early on, but personally, I like to just click on my key here and press 4. And what that does is makes your keys what's called stepped, makes your tangents stepped. And what that does is the magic, this looks like a stop motion now thing. So if you have, that's basic, if you ever seen like the Spider-Verse stuff and all of that, that's usually what they're using for some of their keys is stepped, because it does not, the computer is not interpolating between these two keys, it is just teleporting to the next when you hit it on your timeline here, right like that. And that's fun. Okay, now let's do the next key. Except her spine isn't actually moving. So that looks weird. I'm gonna make it so it goes a little bit down here. This is so, I don't know if I like this. We're gonna keep going though. Okay, so now I imagine at this A she'd probably go back a little bit. Maybe her neck would go up, her head would go back, maybe her shoulders would go up, maybe, I don't know yet. Let's just see again. This is gonna take a while. Animation is very long process and sometimes boring to watch, so I'll try to keep it brief. We won't go super detailed. Now, see, because this is all stepped keys, again, we're just clicking on the keys, and to select multiple, you can actually just click on one key, and then shift-click to the next key, and you'll automatically select all the keys in between. And if you want them to teleport or Spider-Verse between each other, just press 4. But anyway, now that we have these going, I would imagine that her shoulders would drop when she says this. I don't know why. So she'll go like this, and I'm adjusting the arms. I'm making sure not to, when I'm adjusting an entire, that's something that's beginners sometimes do, is that, okay, I'll put a shoulder down, so it'll be here, and then they'll do it here, and that's all they'll do. But you have to remember, this is an arm, not a shoulder. So when this goes down, this is going to adjust to that and go a little bit more straight, because this is a hierarchy, and you have to always imagine that, okay, when I'm affecting this, I'm also affecting the things down here. Just something to keep in mind. Okay, this is silly. Okay. I think I'm actually, okay. Yeah, I think we're gonna start animating her hand now, which is more complicated than I wanted to get into, but I really think it's going to be required for this to work. Okay. She's looking at the shampoo. Now she's laughing at the shampoo, which we will do by making another keyframe here. Going a little bit forward. Putting this head up a little bit. Yeah, I think she should be going a little bit farther back, rather. Then, we're going to grab her right arm. By the way, I cannot believe how many current viewers we have right now. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Okay. Now we're dragging. Like so. And again, I'm using this because it's just so much easier for me. And I want her to make like the standard smug hand by mouth thing. So we're just going to go to our camera here again. Put it next to our mouth. Like so. And we're gonna, to edit fingers, you can go one by one, like this, and this, and this, but it's gonna take a few years. So what I usually do is select one, again, then I start selecting another one, holding just Control for this one, and then Control plus Shift for this one, Control plus Shift for this one, Control plus Shift, Control plus Shift, Control plus Shift. Then we can just, this is another great use of this one, this just standard rotate, because you do actually want this along a specific axis. And then you can rotate your fingers just a little bit faster and easier like that. Those messed up. Might be a little messed up. I wonder. It's fine. Control plus Control Shift. We'll drag this down as well. Okay. Okay. This might not actually be the hand I wanted now that I think about it. But it's fine. It's fine. Get her thumb like this. Is she missing a thumb bone? Uh-oh. I think she's missing a thumb bone, everyone. Uh-oh. That's not ideal. Well, we'll make do. I do not know why she's missing her topmost thumb bone there. That is unfortunate. these actually do look a little bit messed up, so I'm going to do some cleanup here. Ooh, that's more than a little bit messed up, actually. That's a problem. I don't want to worry about this too much. That's not the point of this tutorial, so we're just gonna... Oh my god. You know what? We're just gonna undo this. Control+E this. Ooh. Luckily, you can do this very easily in SFM. Okay. I think that happened because we were doing multiple at once. No. Okay, so this is just classic SFM weirdness. You have to get used to this early on if you want to not lose your mind. For this, maybe I could actually select just the front ones here and do that. I think that works. Then select the next ones. Nah, it's making weirdness either way. Okay, we'll do it the old-fashioned way. We'll do it the way the pioneers did it, okay? Okay, this is fine. We don't need anything fancy here. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is good enough. Let's put this a little bit more forward. Oh, forgot to mention. Okay, so when my camera is doing this, this is called an orbit, and all you need to do is hold Alt, then left click. And this works super, super, super well. It's one of my favorite parts of this program. It's so easy to just orbit around your character, find what you need to animate, clean it up, go back. It's so awesome. Love it. Okay. So I am going to select this arm bone, put it down like this. This right here. Okay. Okay, I'm definitely fiddling here. Getting into fiddling territory. I enjoy the smug aura though. Okay. This is good enough. This looks a little bit messed up. I like that. It's very kawaii. Okay. And of course her face is not being reflected yet, so it's gonna look a little weird. So, and for this laugh, I'm going to make it so that her head goes down. Her eyes. Oh no, we're not doing the face. I'm resisting temptation. Not yet, not yet. Focus on what's important first. Okay, so this is going to have her... I think what would work best here is having her body come forward a little bit. Like so. I did not watch the concert today yet, Dan, but I really want to. It sounds amazing. Horse, I'm using FK because I started making this animation in FK, and I don't want to deal with an FK/IK switch at the moment. But I think I don't want this to be the last time. Should we? No. We'll keep it. We're just gonna keep it simple for this. For this, normally I would be switching this over to a different type of rigging type, but this is fine for now. We're just gonna leave it for the time being. That's fine. Okay. So I just noticed that we have more keys here that we don't have properly keyed because I didn't do what I should be. So I'm gonna select all the things that I know that I need keyed onto this frame because we have that movement. Press M again. M, press M, and again select all my keys, select the first key, then select the last key rather, then shift select the first, press F4, or just 4 rather, and that'll make our keys teleport to each other again. And I noticed that I'm not a huge fan of this timing. It seems that she's leaning forward a little bit too early, so I'm going to actually move this key over slightly to the right, making sure that we have everything selected here that we want to move forward to the right. Before we do that, because if you're not careful, you'll just select the arms and you'll move the timing of the arms, but then you'll notice, oh, this is all having a different timings, and then you have to move everything back, and it's a pain in the butt. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, okay? So let's see this now. Okay. The lack of face movement is bothering me, but it's okay. Okay. Now, let's have it so... Let's try... What if she, like, covered her mouth a little bit after this? So I'm just going to put her hand like this. Move her finger down a little bit. She's just like laughing into her hand. This is kind of weird. Maybe I won't keep it like this. But let's see. It's always better to try. It's looking a little funky fresh. I'm not a huge fan of this. Oh no, her Yubi. Okay. 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 This might seem like a lot of work for not much, but the hands are essentially as expressive as the face, so you should be putting as much thought and effort into how your hands are looking as you are into how your face is looking. That's not that bad. Kind of dig it. Let's see though. Again, I'm going back to my work camera so I can get a better view here. Orbiting again. I'll actually make this one bigger so you can see what's going on. My actual camera. Then go here. Okay, let's see how this looks. Okay, this amuses me. I'm liking this. So let's have her go down a little bit more. Click on her head. This might be a bit much. No, I like that. Maybe she should actually like literally do a facepalm here because of how silly she's being. Maybe. Might just leave it. We'll see. Okay. So I'm imagining that right around here, again, we're selecting all the bones we actually want to mess with, pressing M, going right here and here and here. And imagine that at this part, she would go back a little bit. Let's see how we're going. Let's just do something stupid. It's fine. Let's just have her arms go up. Do like the most. Just have them. Maybe we can actually rotate this and so that it would. This is looking. Let's see. I move the head. Do I like this a little bit more? Yeah. Let's have it so her entire posture is changing. Yeah, like this. So she's got that head tilt going on. Then let's get it so her... Wow, guys. It's like she's really giving us a hug. Okay. Put this down. This looks a little weird. Let's try doing this. So So again, just quickly orbiting, rotating like that. It's so fast and it's so awesome. Okay, so now, and what I'm gonna do right now is literally act this, what this would actually look like if I was doing this in person. And I do that very regularly, and it's very, very helpful, and I wish I did it more. So I'm noticing, if I do this in real life, my arms, this arm right here is not actually going that high, and this one right here is going way farther than I actually would have imagined it. So I'm noticing my hands are like literally touching my face when I do this gesture in real life. So it's like, oh, so maybe this should be pushed a little bit more. Maybe I can have the arm like this. And I'm noticing that my fingers have a bit of a curl on them. So, oh, now I can apply that to this animation right here. And that's another reason why having reference is really important. Oh, I'm playing with fate doing that. Let's do it the right way. By the right way, I mean the way that SFM likes. Yeah, I kind of like this. This is so cute. Oh my gosh. Okay, now let's do the exact same thing right here. Like so, and you can often get this really odd. Thank you, Alexa.
Take a look at the section in your Alexa.
You can often get this very odd. This is just a modeling thing. You just have to make sure that your point right here is actually curved correctly. See, it's actually has some weird clipping right now, but if you turn it, actually, you know, yeah, whatever. This looks a lot better than having that messed up. That's just something to be aware of. That sometimes you'll accidentally mess up a rotation right here, and suddenly, for example, this will be like this, and it's like, oh, how do I fix it? Is the model just broken? No, you just need to rotate this so it's as it should be, and then you can just rotate this back. It's just something to keep in mind. Okay, I'm kind of liking this. So I'm gonna move this a little bit closer to us. Then I'm gonna move this a little bit more farther down. You can actually just switch over to, oh yeah, another thing. If you hold control while clicking off of your work camera, it'll actually make it so that, no, clicking off of your like main animation camera rather, it'll make it so that your work camera copies the exact settings of your main camera, which is super, super handy sometimes. Like it not only will it do the location, which is super handy, but it'll also do like the bloom settings and the lighting settings you set for that, and that's very, 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 very handy sometimes. I'm constantly pressing control while clicking out of that, and so that it just saves so much time, because you can just click right here and rotate right out of exactly what your actual final shot will look like, and it's very, very helpful. So we'll finish adjusting this hand here, and again I'll control click out of this and then just zoom in using my scroll wheel. That looks very odd, and that's probably a rotation issue. It's not rotating how it expects to be. I'll rotate this like so. By the way, guys, sorry you have to sit in silence. I figured out like 10 minutes ago that the music was really distracting, so I paused it. You can play your own. That's cool. Or you can just listen to the sound of my lovely, perfect voice. That's cool too. Yeah, this is messed up too. Another thing that I use all the time. Press F to focus in on what you have selected. So if I selected her leg right now and I press F, it will teleport right next to it, and you can immediately start orbiting around it. And I use that all the time. So if I wanted to go from messing with her foot to messing with her hand, just control click and F, and it's so handy. Another one of those things I'm using probably like 50 times an hour. Okay, so I'm gonna rotate this down. This is my first time streaming, so I don't know. I didn't realize that would be distracting until I actually started doing it. Of course there's ways to play music without me actually hearing it. But we're just having fun here. That's what streaming should be. Okay. I'm gonna rotate this down a little bit. This is, yeah, that's probably good enough. That's good enough for what we're going for. Okay. Another thing to keep in mind that you want pretty clear is to make sure that your actual silhouette of your hand, so the spaces in between your hand, make sure it's like clearly reading what the gesture of your hand is. So rather than having your fingers be like this, so it's all one blob of a shape, that doesn't really read super well if this is what you're going for. So ideally, I think I would want to have it more like this. Like so. Again, it's just control click, control click, control click, control click for this program. Not for every program, but for this one, that's basically what you're doing when you're animating. It kind of sounds weird when you say it out loud, but when you're doing it, it's completely, for me anyway, it's very intuitive, good way of doing things. I love this program. I think it's very ahead of its time. Okay. Okay, I think that's working. It's good enough. You have to remember that you can just keep fiddling with this over and over and over and over, and it'll never look perfect. And it doesn't need to. It's not the point. Okay, that's good enough. So that's the problem with like zooming in on something, you kind of lose the big picture. You gotta be careful. Okay. Now I'm going to redo my keys here, pressing M. Then pressing play again. Okay. Okay, I can see how this is gonna go now. She's just gonna lift her arms up and do the classic sitcom. What? With her arms here. Okay. Right here. Okay. So now that we can see, okay, she's going to go in and then she's going to go out, I want to make absolutely sure that it's clear that she's going in here, because if it's not clear that she's going in, it won't really anticipate very well and it won't feel very good, for lack of a better term. So I want to make sure that all parts of her body, or at least the main part of her body, like her spine area and her head, are very clearly going down, so they can very clearly go up in this keyframe. So I will rotate these back. Like so. Put this like here. Put her head like this. This is probably a bit much. Let's see. Shampoo. That kind of works. Okay. So now I want to move her shoulders a bit. Put them. Again, I'm gonna do this in real life because I don't know what my shoulders do when I do this. They're actually kind of up. I wasn't expecting that. So this right here, I want want to make sure that this is like this. I actually kind of like how this looks. I'll have to keep that in mind when we're doing the in-between frames here.
Shampoo. 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 Shampoo.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. We'll do that at a later point of time. So let's put this down. Grab this shoulder, put it up. Grab this arm down like so. I'm gonna keep this off camera anyway, so we don't need this to be perfect, really. I'm noticing that our posture looks a little bit weird here. Like it's leaning to the left. Do you see that? So I'm going to rotate it like so. Let's see if that's better.
Shampoo. Shampoo.
This looks a little odd. From this point to this point, it doesn't feel like that she's like leaning in anymore, and I feel like that it's not helping. Right here, this could probably be pulled back a bit. Look at that. Let's see how this looks. Put this up a little bit. I'm noticing right here too that it looks like she's looking at two different things. Like she's looking at one thing here and another thing here, so I'm going to move her head, you know, like that. This is a lot of what you're doing. There's no linear process here. You're just fiddling and fiddling and fiddling until you kind of get something that feels better. I kind of like this. This is kind of cute. Again, no facial animation. This is all body language right now. I don't like what the hand is doing too much here, though. So I'm going to select this arm. I'm going to select all the, and another way to select an SFM is by holding Control plus Shift, and you can drag a lasso around bones, which is very handy for fingers in particular. So now that we have these ones as we like them, we are going to, yeah, I'm going to actually copy these and paste them out of our timeline because I might want to use it later. And then I'm going to just see what this looks like, because I think I'm going to just use this instead. So I'm just making sure I have all my keys selected, clicking on this key, Control V, going over this key, then Control C. And by that I mean Control V, Control C. The opposite of what I said. Okay. Now that arm isn't super working for me, so I'm going to want to change that. Move this up. And again, I want to make sure that our like silhouette is clear here, so we can tell what's going on. Ideally, it's never going to be perfect, but okay. Okay. So there's a lot of things. Okay, no. Okay, first of all, I was gonna say, okay, now we can start moving in betweens, but I think right now, like, and by in between I just mean what happens between, for example, this frame and this frame. Because right now, if we play this from beginning to end, just this button right here goes to the exact beginning. This button goes to the exact end frame. So if we just play this right now, I can generally tell what's happening. I feel like it's pretty clear what's going on. And now that I feel like that's the case, I like to move right onto the face. Generally. Again, it depends. Maybe that sounds very strange to you. Great, do it your own way, because it's It's just whatever works. That's all art, baby. I'm going to... So, for this frame, I think the face is working pretty good. It's basically what we designed this for originally, so as it should. So now we're going to go to the next frame, where it adjusts, and now we can see that the eyes are kind of looking in the wrong spot. So I would select the eyes here, go to local, adjust them a little bit. And again, we have that movement again, and to turn that off, I'm just going to click on this, press 4. Happy holidays, Gudul. I hope I pronounced that right. Okay. For her eyes right here, I might actually want to make them a little bit more closed. Then right here, we're gonna open them up a little bit like that. Like so. Then right here, I feel like it would be... Because this looks very extreme, but if we have this for only a few frames, it won't feel that weird. Yes. Okay. Then we have her eyebrows lower here. I feel like that would be fun. We're actually just going to move them. That's actually might be better to just literally lower them. So many fun sliders in this model. I love this model. It is excellent. Definitely download it and give it a try if you want something to animate. Purse her lips a little bit. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. That does the exact same thing. Whatever. It's fine. That looks a little weird. So I'm going to lower that a little bit. Let's see. Oh, really? We actually might have to... Yeah. So let's do that. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Now there's something really cool you can actually do. Like say you like this pose, but you also like this one. You like how they both look, but you kind of want something in between them. You can get the exact mathematical in between of both of those face expressions very, very easily. Just press 1, go in between both of those frames, press M, and then you got it. This is the exact in between of those two. I think I did that right. Yeah. Okay. It's a bit extreme still. Hello, Charlene. Hello, Galaxy Wolfstar. Yes, Horace, you are absolutely correct. It is definitely too much right now. It is overacting to the max. Okay. So let's actually... Okay. So right here, I would imagine that she'd be closing her eyes. We can do that, or we could do this. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the best one. Yeah. I like it. Okay. She's probably actually going to keep them closed until this point, I would think. Then maybe tighten them a little bit more here. Just a little bit before we have that. Yeah. Then her eyes will open up a little bit right here, I think. I don't know why I was doing that. SFM is a strange, strange program. So then right here, I'd imagine she'd open her eyes quite a bit. Like that. See, now things are like starting to come alive a little bit now after just doing a little bit of facial animation. This is definitely too much. Maybe we could actually, now that I think about it, again, I'm just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. There's no secret trick here. I don't know what's gonna work until I try it either. Okay, move this down. Like so, this lower arm out the way. So maybe I'm thinking that she's like leading this action with her arm. Something like this. So it's like this, and then this. Yeah. This goes down like this. That looks a little bit less over the top. It's still not ideal. Okay, okay. I'm gonna take a step back here, see where we're at. Okay, how much of a finish are we gonna bring this to? Let's think here. I think that we're... You know what? I think we're going to... Let's see. Guess we could make this a lot better looking, but it's gonna take a little bit more time. Let's see how. Post them in the comments, please. Message me on Discord. That's a good place to do it. Twitter. Anything that there isn't an answer to on Google, I will gladly answer. But for now, I think we're gonna leave this as is. Thank you for watching. I cannot believe how many people are sticking around right now. It's kind of awesome and mind-blowing. This was actually super, super fun too. This is awesome. I'm definitely interested in doing this again. But yeah, thank you for watching. I think we can... I don't want to make any promises because I don't know what my tomorrow's schedule is going to look like, but I would love to do this again. Hopefully as early as tomorrow. I will let you know. I'll let you know. I'll read over the feedback to this one in order to see what direction we should head for the next one. And if you guys have any requests or like specific things you want to know how to do, please, please, please let me know. That would be extremely, extremely helpful. But yeah, I think that we're going to call it for tonight. This was awesome. Thank you so much for watching. The support has been awesome. I can't I'm super, super lucky to have this many viewers and this awesome of viewers for my first stream. It's super, super cool. Thank you guys so much. And yes, Night Shadow, fire in water. Fire in water. Yes. And Night Shadow, we will be uploading this. I think I'm going to edit it before I upload it to this channel, but I will try to get this be a thing that you can watch at a later date. So if you missed it, you will be able to see the whole thing at a later date. I will try to. I definitely want to do this again, though. This was very, very fun. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you later. Goodbye.